Okay, we're back at Wicks Park for another chat with a cross-country runner from Heritage High School who is going to be a senior on the 2020 team. This week we have a unique individual because he didn't come up through our normal channels from White Pine Middle School, usually from White Pine Cross Country, then to hopefully continue on at Heritage Cross Country. Joe Basara, he came to us from out of state, transferring in last August in 2019, and his impact has been tremendous and immediate, and it's just been fantastic to have someone come from out of town and bring in some different ideas and different kind of energy, and it's really added to what we're trying to do. And I was excited to get a chance to talk to Joe today, and I hope you enjoy getting to know him a little bit.
My name is Joseph Basara, and I was born in Oklahoma, raised in New Orleans, and I'm a senior at Heritage.
And how long have you been running?
Since about 6th grade, actually. I learned to run while I lived in Morgantown, West Virginia. So I've been running quite a bit.
And what's your role on the cross-country team this fall?
I am a captain who is aspiring to lead us to a regional championship.
Excellent, excellent. So now I'll ask you a few questions, hopefully somewhere in the neighborhood of 7, and we'll see where it goes. I'll mix it up, and hopefully there'll be some things that are meant to send a good message to your teammates, maybe some things that are a little bit fun, but that's the whole point, is just to let people get to know you a little bit. You being a student of the sport, and that's one of the things I admire in your leadership and why I think you rose so quickly to be a captain. There's so many things I think you can teach, and I've seen you teach as a leader. So the first question I think is appropriate or specifically applicable to you as a runner on our team and leader on our team is, what is one piece of advice that you would give a beginning runner?
To a beginning runner who wants to be elite in this sport, there's two things that you need to know, and that is, you don't need to work hard, you just need to be consistent with how much you work and the miles you put in each week. And the second thing is that you need to rest, whether that's your nutrition or how much you sleep.
Absolutely, that's good. Coming from, kind of all over the country, I think this is a really good question for you, Joe. What's something interesting about you that most people don't know? Because I think that's interesting for you because you probably have experienced some things differently living in Oklahoma, West Virginia, New Orleans, etc. That is different than those of us who grew up in the Saginaw area our whole life. So what is something interesting about you that most people wouldn't know?
I don't think Michigan's hot.
I think most of us from Michigan know that you don't think it's hot, but us from Michigan, we think it's hot. But that's pretty funny. So I know you're a super passionate runner, and your teammates know this too. But what other hobbies or extracurricular activities do you enjoy outside of running?
I love playing basketball. I actually love all sports. Big basketball and volleyball guy. Used to play varsity soccer, so I've just been around it a whole lot. I like just exercising, swimming, biking, everything.
That's awesome. So you like being active. That's really cool. Yeah. Carry that with you your whole life. Another one for a good student of the sport, knowing a lot about history of running and a lot about current runners. If you could go on a run with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
If I could run with anyone, I would run with Ryan Hall. He is the current American record holder in the half marathon and one of the most talented runners to ever walk the earth, but has shared his struggles as somebody who dropped out of the Olympic marathon and has struggled to stay healthy as a runner while continuing to pursue his passion as being a runner and a man.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's a good one to have as a role model for sure. What is your favorite cross-country tradition?
Chocolate milk. I love chocolate milk, and I actually love getting it after my workouts. It really makes everything just so much better.
Yeah, that's a pretty universal one for cross country. That's a great answer. I didn't know what kind of answer you would have for that, being still relatively new to our team and our program. So maybe you had a tradition that came from somewhere else that you'd had to explain. But chocolate milk's definitely a good one that most cross country runners certainly share, except maybe Nico, who has issues drinking chocolate milk. But we'll let him get into that in an interview maybe someday. Off the wall question. I've been adding to these questions pretty much every week so that we can mix it up a little bit. Obviously there'll be some overlap from time to time, but here's an off the wall one. A penguin walks through the door right now and he's wearing a sombrero. What does he say and why is he here? This is a personality test, I think.
He's gonna say aloha, and his purpose is to take you to the grocery store.
Okay. All right. I don't know what that means, but that's the whole point, is just to have a little fun. So that's a good one. I think we're at about 5 questions, Joe. Okay, the two that I like to ask, and this one I ask in a couple different ways, the first one, but the two I like to end with are pretty consistent. Do you know what you want to do with your future? Do you have like a dream job? Know what you want to study in college? What are you going to do after high school?
So I'm planning to go to college somewhere out west, because I really enjoy the mountains. But my post-college plan is I'm going to renovate a Sprinter van and live in that for a couple years. Just do some like online work or whatever, just live out in the middle of the wild.
Awesome. We share more in common than you know, Joe, so that's good. I also appreciate taking a different path. I think I've taken a different path, and that's something that I value, and doing what's right for you is definitely a good way to go about growing and seeking your future. Okay, last one, and I know you haven't been in the township for very long, but if you want to give a shout out to one Heritage faculty, staff member, anyone at Heritage that you have met that has meant something to you, give that person a shout out and say a little bit about why they did something meaningful for you.
Yep. Shout out to Miss Perry. Hope you enjoy retirement, but thank you for just making my mornings very enjoyable with your class in a way that I could engage myself and push myself to be a better student and learn more from what we discussed in class than, say, just a textbook.
Awesome, Joe. Thanks a lot for doing this for me and for the team, for our cause, for sharing who and what Heritage Cross Country is. We feel we're very special, and we want others to know about that. I also appreciate the impact you've had. Just because you've only been here a little, or coming up on a year, I guess, doesn't mean that your impact hasn't been tremendous. And I appreciate the knowledge that you brought and the different perspectives you brought regarding cross country and training and how to be a teammate. And I think that's why you're going to be a leader, why you were chosen to be a leader of the team, and why you're going to be effective. So thanks a lot for doing this for me and for your team.
Sweet.